now for a business update, starting with a grim forecast for 2023 made by the head of the International Monetary Fund. Our business editor, Charles Pellegrin, is on set to tell us more.
That's right, Alison. Kristalina Georgieva, the IMF chief, the managing director of the IMF, who believes that 1/3 of the world will be hit by recession this year. She added that the world will face a tougher context in 2023 than it did in 2022, with the US, EU, and China all slowing simultaneously. She made her predictions in an interview with US news program Face the Nation on CBS. In her estimation, the EU will be particularly hard hit, with half of its members seeing a decline in growth. The last IMF forecast for global growth was published in October and showed global growth of just 2.7%. compared to 3.2% in 2022. The factors pushing down on increased production are interlinked to a certain extent, with the war on Ukraine participating in the global rise in inflation, and central banks then around the world raising interest rates to try to keep those prices in check. To top all of that, you have also an exceptional situation in China, where the economy is struggling with a surge of COVID infections after having previously struggled with stringent COVID regulations before that. So take a listen to Kristalina Georgieva.
Vaccinations fall behind. They have not worked on antiviral treatments and how that can be offered to people. And they will go through this tough time. If they stay the course, over time, they would be able to catch up with the rest of the world, but for the next couple of months it would be tough for China, and the impact on Chinese growth would be negative, the impact on the region would be negative, the impact on global growth would be negative.
Well, let's take a very quick look at the Asian markets this morning. Very quick, because many are closed for the New Year holiday, except the Kospi in Seoul, currently trading down by 0.5%. On some of those concerns the IMF had mentioned earlier, especially with minutes from the U.S. Federal Reserve meetings that will be released this week, potentially shedding more light on the fight against inflation. And something else to look forward to in 2023, increased regulation of social media in the United States, at least according to members of Congress, after they passed a bipartisan bill that bans TikTok from government devices a few days ago, this over data security concerns. Mike Gallagher, a Republican from Wisconsin, called TikTok a digital fentanyl and wants to apply a national ban on the Chinese-owned platform. And other platforms like Twitter or YouTube are also in their crosshairs over the transparency of their algorithms or privacy standards. And the first moments of 2023 marked a fresh start for Croatia. 3 decades after the Balkans War left nearly a quarter of its economy in ruins. Now it's officially a member of the Eurozone after joining the bloc in 2013. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen visited the country on Sunday, even enjoying a cup of coffee with Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković, which he paid for, obviously using euros. Catherine Kadir-Clifford tells us more.
A switch at the stroke of midnight, as Croatia says goodbye to the kuna and hello to the euro, becoming the 20th member of the Eurozone and the 27th nation in the passport-free Schengen zone. Here at the Bergana border crossing, officials toasted the symbolic removal of controls with neighbouring Slovenia.
We opened the door to Europe without borders. Tonight we celebrate a new day, a new year, a new Europe with Croatia in Schengen. There are no more borders that have stood between us and our neighbours for too long.
Many Croatians fear a hike in prices, though experts predict an overall boost for the small Balkan nation's economy. Some 70% of tourists attracted to Croatia's beaches come from the Eurozone, while the bloc also accounts for the majority of the country's foreign trade. The changes will make travelling and doing business easier, cutting out currency exchange and border checks. The government also celebrated stable new conditions for growth.
In these turbulent times, the euro will provide additional stability and allow Croatia's economy, thanks to closer integration with other Eurozone countries, to grow and develop based upon more stable, healthier grounds.
In recent days, Croatians queued to withdraw cash, fearing payment issues during the transition. The nation of 4 million joined the bloc in 2013 and has spent almost a decade putting in place the strict economic conditions necessary to join the Eurozone.
Let's end in Japan, where the government is trying to entice families to move away from Tokyo with incentives as much as 1 million yen per child. That's over 7,000 euros, and that's more than 3 times more than the previous government scheme to do that set up in 2019. Those who make the move have to commit to country living for 5 years or refund the state. This is a move to help with the demographic decline in the country, which disproportionately affects regions outside Tokyo and other major cities. In 2023, the number of empty homes in the country could reach 10 million, and that's because of large parts of small-town Japan that have been hollowed out. Alison, unfortunately, right now, the rumors and the information that's come out about that scheme, Japanese people aren't say that's still not enough to get them to move away from Tokyo.
Wow, they really don't want to leave Tokyo. I was thinking, I'm tempted. I'd do it to leave Paris, probably. I wouldn't mind. Charles Pellegrin, thank you so much with today's business update.